McPherson has certainly seen the peaks and valleys of life on the PWBA Tour. Since being named Bowler of the Year in 6 and 97, she has struggled, but is poised and ready for another win today. So the apple of Wendy's eye, Kendall, needs to stay awake. Aunt Wendy is on next. Tonight's opening match features a trio, beginning with a repeat from last week, Kim Adler, past Olympian Debbie-McMullen, and veteran Jeanne-Naccarato. The high score will take on the 97 Rookie of the Year, Lisa Bishop. And the winner of that match will challenge the 96-97 Player of the Year, Wendy McPherson-Papanos, for the championship. Welcome inside Junction Lanes, located in the city of Holmes, Newnan, Georgia, for the championship round finals of the Choo Classic. Hi everyone, I'm Jan Schmidt alongside 30-time titleist Lisa Wagner. We're glad you came on board for the Choo Classic. Lisa, two of the players this week, we haven't seen their faces on television in a long time, beginning with our number 3 qualifier, Jeanne-Naccarato.
That's right, Jan. Jeannie has not made a telecast since November of 1997. She had a slow year last year and only bowled 7 tournaments. This year, she's back.
Ooh, I bet she is. And our number 4 qualifier, Debbie-McMullen, has had even a longer drought.
It's been 3 years for Debbie-McMullen. She said she hasn't been handling the pressure that well during the last round of match play. She's going to give the credit to this telecast, to controlling those nerves a little bit better, and a little luck.
You have to have a little luck. Both of these ladies have waited long enough to bowl on television. We're going to get right to the action. It'll be Jeanne-Naccarato and Debbie-McMullen, joined by Kim Adler. And an interesting handshake. All 3 players crisscrossing there. Quickly touch on the format again. If you weren't with us last week, 3 players bowling the first match, high score advances. First look at Debbie-McMullen, 38 years old. And we talked about the drought, Lisa.
3 years for Debbie-McMullen. She is pretty relaxed, as you see in her first shot. Pretty good shot there for the first one. Does leave a weak 10, but coming out with the controlling those nerves.
First look at Jeanne-Naccarato, 41 years old, 20 years a pro, but as you mentioned, did not bowl full-time last year.
Right, only 7 tournaments in 1998.
Good opening shot for Jeannie. Meanwhile, Debbie steps up to shoot her 10-pin. No problem for Debbie. And here's our repeat from last week, Kim Adler. 31 years old and just really off to a big start already this season.
She's a very focused player, as you can see the intenseness on her face right there.
So clean through 1 frame. Debbie-McMullen quickly up in the 2nd frame, working on a spare. She qualified 4th for this show, 227.07 average. Lisa scores pretty high this week.
Yes, they were. The carry was very good here this week, too, as I'm sure that we will see on the show this evening.
Well, the 2 ladies that haven't been on the show in a while don't appear to have any nerves out there tonight. 227 average for Jeanne-Naccarato also.
And just as I say that the carry will be good, she leaves a solid 8. That is about the best hit that you can get in bowling, maybe other than a solid 9. It's just a very bad break, but she'll pick it up and move on.
So Kim Adler with the only chance to start with a double. And she does. Jeannie going to convert her spare. She's going to hook the ball at it. Does so nicely. Bowling fans in the greater Orlando area, be sure to join Alita Sill, Wendy McPherson-Papanos, Brenda Norman, and the rest of the Professional Women's Bowling Association as they visit AMF Altamont Springs Lanes, February 28th through March 4th. Contact Mike Parr at 407-862-2500 for more information on the tournament and the Pro-Ams. You see the scoreboard, Kim Adler leading by 10 pins over both Debbie-McMullen and Jeanne-Naccarato. Once again, it is only the high score that will advance.
Everybody in the pocket so far, so I think everybody is probably pretty relaxed at this point.
A big double for Debbie-McMullen. Jeanne-Naccarato now up in the third frame. She had one of the 300s this week.
23 now for Jeanne-Naccarato. So she hasn't had one in 5 years.
And that's pretty amazing because Jeannie is one of the most consistent shot makers that has ever been on tour, in my opinion.
Right, and as a matter of fact, Jeannie did hold the record for quite a while for the number of 300 games for WIBC.
Kim Adler going for three and coming up high. Even a 310 as Jeanne-Naccarato shoots her spare.
Kim's going to get a little bit soft with this shot. It's going to hook through the head pin to the left of the head pin, leaves herself with a fairly easy spare for a split, Jan. She has to get the ball between the 3 and the 10, and she's a very good spare shooter. As we see the ball slip by, a little bit of conditioner of oil in the middle of the lane, and it's going to slide by pretty good for them.
Well, the lead has just changed, and Debbie-McMullen is now in the lead in this match as she steps up in her fourth frame, working on a double. 3 in a row. Jeanne-Naccarato now up in the fourth. You saw the 300 games. Tiffany Stambrow, one of the 300's, an interesting story. She shot 300 that night, called home to tell her parents, and found out her father had shot 300 in league that night at the same exact time.
And how many times does that happen?
Never.
That's right.
Pretty incredible. And Audrey Mullen, the other 300. Kim Adler now up in the fourth frame. Needs to jump back from that open.
A little bit more aggressive, that shot, which I figured she probably would be. When you get a little soft and you go high on the head pin, you tend to get a little bit you get more speed the next shot. So that was a good positive shot for Kim.
Nice spare conversion for Jeanne-Naccarato. Kim Adler shooting her spare in the fourth frame. 10 pin, no problem with this spare. Debbie-McMullen has the lead here, though, through 4 frames by 22 pins. We'll be back after these messages for the conclusion of the match. And championship round finals of the Choo Classic are being brought to you by AMF Bowling Worldwide, the largest owner and operator of bowling centers in the world, and one of the leading makers of bowling products. AMF always means fun. And by MasterCard. There are some things in life money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. We're back at the Choo Classic. While we were away, Debbie-McMullen and Kim Adler continued to strike in the 5th and 6th. Jeanne-Naccarato, plagued by a couple of 10 pins, missed one of them. Debbie-McMullen now leads by 34 pins. You see her max score, 290. I think maybe we jinxed her there, but boy, she has been just throwing tremendous shots.
Yes, she has every ball in the pocket. I think she had a little bit of moisture on her hand there, wasn't comfortable with the fit.
Now, was that a move to carry the 10 for Jeannie?
Oh, definitely. She's been a little bit weak in the pocket, left some weak 10s, and she made the only sensible move you can make.
Debbie-McMullen converts her spare. Jeanne-Naccarato now going to shoot at a 4 pin in the 7th frame. So you want to make the ball drive harder, kick the 10, but they then you run a risk.
Right. Actually, there's a couple of things that you can do, but the more ways that you think about to make it, the more complicated that it gets. So Jeanne made the most simple move that you can, and that's to move just a little bit on the approach. Get a little bit of better angle into the pocket.
Kim Adler now up in the 7th, working on 2 strikes. Trailing by 33, can take it to 23 with a strike.
Come on, Deb.
That was a nice shot.
Yes, it was a very nice shot. You saw the 5-pin go in front of the 7. Very strong shot by Kim Adler. Could have put a lot of pressure on Debbie-McMullen. See how she answers.
All right. Good
Well,
up, Renee. Come on.
she answered well, but a stubborn 10-pin. She's been staying clean, though. That meaning Debbie-McMullen. Here's Kim Adler now shooting her spare. It's a 7-pin in the 7th frame. No trouble with the spare.
This is Debbie's shot when she left a ringing 10. Watch a 6-pin. Ring right around the 10. That's why we call it a ringing 10. Very strong shot. She had a little bit extra speed on that one. That's what caused the 6-pin to fly around the 10.
No problem with the spare. There you see the score. Debbie-McMullen still in the lead by 33 pins. Finally, Jeanne carries something. She's been making good shots, but nothing's been falling down. Kim Adler stepping up in the 8th. Really needs to strike here. She needs to get something going if she wants to challenge Debbie-McMullen.
Well, Debbie's been in the pocket every single shot. Kim needs to keep the pressure on.
Ten pins. You mentioned carry. That seemed to be an issue for a lot of players. They talked to us about different changes they made to try to carry the 10-pin. Max score for Debbie-McMullen, 258. She's now making her shot in the 9th frame. She's on her way to that 258. Kim Adler, meanwhile, converts her spare in the 8th frame. But trails now by 34 pins.
I think Kim is looking over for some advice, possibly. She's looking, what else can I do? I'm hitting the pocket. What's the secret?
Well, Jeanne-Naccarato could go off the sheet for 215. She really has no chance in this match. But she was the number 3 qualifier. So even if she's low score, she'll finish 4th.
Very important in that last game of match play, in the 42nd game of the tournament, the scores were so close that several players, anywhere from about 3rd to 8th, could have moved around anywhere. So Jeanne came out on top, finished 3rd, and guaranteed herself 4th.
Kim Adler high again on lane 17. This match is pretty well over.
Barring disaster, I would say, by Debbie-McMullen, we're going to look at Debbie-McMullen advancing.
You can hear Jim Callahan in the background, Fab-Ball rep, who is Debbie's coach today. And that almost slid by like the 310 did earlier. PWBA longevity. Look at the years these people have been pros, and mostly touring pros for most of those years. Lisa Wagner, 20 years.
Sometimes my body feels it too.
Scoreboard going into the 10th frame. Debbie-McMullen, commanding lead, 36 pins. Really almost, there's no way she can relinquish that lead.
Debbie has a very simple game, as you're going to see right here. She's just very simple, good 4-step delivery, right at the pocket. It's not a lot of trouble that she's going to get in. She's not going to leave a lot of splits.
Here, Jeanne, happy to be back on the television show. Good shot in the 10th. The reason Jeanne missed so much bowling last year was because her father was ill and passed away. So sometimes family is much more important. And as you mentioned in the top of the show, I'm sure we'll see much more of Jeanne-Naccarato. She is definitely back.
Jeannie cares so much about her bowling that she went to see a coach in between these two tournaments. She flew to Cleveland to see Phil Celia.
And Jeannie's going to be inducted, Jeanne-Naccarato will be inducted into the WIBC Hall of Fame in May of this year.
Well deserved.
Kim Adler finishes up in 5th. Jeanne-Naccarato will finish in the 4th position, and Debbie-McMullen earns the right to advance. But first, Deanna Miller-Mackey will bring you our second PWBA bowling tip when we return. Stay with us to learn about a proper fit.